Hi boys and girls. Today we're going to be doing some leaf rubbing, and we're going to try and make our leaves look like they are falling down our paper. So when you get your leaves, you want to try and place them so that they look like they might be tumbling down, so they can be going different directions. They don't all have to be the same way. And probably limit yourself to 3 rubbings on here so that you have room. We're going to be painting in between these next week, so we want to make sure they're not too full of leaves, okay? The only colors we're going to use today are red and green, okay? Oh, that looks like it's a glitter red. I don't want to use that. Some kids tried this orange, was super light. It's very hard to see the edges, so I want to recommend not. If you just absolutely have to do an orange one, maybe orange and red together might work if you rub them together. But to make a rubbing, you don't want the leaves on top. I was just showing you where I'm going to put them, but you want your leaves to be underneath, because we're going to rub the paper and we're going to take the impression of that leaf. So I'm going to put that leaf right under. I can kind of feel it. It's right under the top here. And then you're going to hold your paper as firmly as you can and take your rubbing crayon and use the long flat side. We're going to lay it down like this. We don't want to use the tip. We want to use the flat side. And then push as hard as you can. And you've got to really put some muscle into this. When you see the edges appear, you know you're done with that side and you can stop rubbing it. But over here you can see I don't know where the top of my leaf is, so I'm going to keep rubbing. And I'm going to rub and follow it along, kind of follow the edge of your leaf. And I know I'm missing something here because I can see where my leaf goes like this and then it just sort of disappears. So I'm going to rub it a little bit more. Oh wow, yeah. And we know these leaves kind of come to a point, so be looking for those points, because when you're done rubbing them, we're going to take a black crayon and we're going to follow the outline of our leaf. Okay, so there I've got my red one. I'm going to set the red back. Now I could do all red, I could do all green rubbings, or I could do red, green, okay? I think I'm going to try a green one next. So I'm going to turn this. I want my leaf to be going a different direction. I'm going to lay it under there and kind of feel where it is. Yep, that feels like a good spot for it. Then hold it really firmly with one hand. Take your other hand, lay your crayon down, and start rubbing. Okay, ooh, there's the stem. I'm going to rub the edges here, so I'm kind of following the edge of my leaf around to see where it is. Rubbing until I see the edge. Okay, cool. Now one more. I think I'm going to space this one out a little bit because I want to have some room to paint. I'm going to turn this one this way. One thing I see kids do a lot of times is they rub across it like this, really light, and then they move their leaf and they're done and they can't see where to do the edge with their black crayon. So don't stop rubbing until you can see the whole outline of your leaf, okay? Keep going until you get to a point. Usually there's all these little pointy parts. Keep going until you see the points and also the curved part in here. I got to know where to put my black lines on that too, okay? All right, I'm done. Now Laura's going to show you combining orange. If you want to put a little orange in there, you could probably rub orange against the red and have a little bit of orange, okay? All right, I'm ready to take that out. Last step is to take and outline everything with black. Now it's really hard to tell which one's a black, so I suggest you turn it over and, oh, look what I forgot to do. You want to be sure and put your name and class code on the back. You guys are probably 2A, 2B, or 2C. Then take your black crayon and on each leaf, you're going to go along the outside edge of the leaf and trace it, just like this. And what this will do is when we go to paint these, we'll know where to put our warm colors and where to put our cool colors. And this is also sort of like a little stop line. It'll stop the paint from running into the leaf. If we have to do all the paintings on one day, wet paint sometimes will run into other wet paint. And if we don't want our colors mixed, we're going to want to have this little line here. Okay. Now I did have one thing I want to point out here. You can see Mrs. Walker is staying right along the edge of her leaf. I don't want to see anybody do this. This is something that someone has done in the past, and I don't want to see anybody do this. You're not going to do a big bubble around your leaf like this, okay? That's not what I'm asking you to do. That is not touching the edge of my leaf, so that's wrong, okay? Nobody just do this. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. It's going to end up looking sloppy. Do you see the difference between this one and this one? You want to follow the edge right along the edge of your leaf very carefully until you get all the way around. Do you see the difference in what I'm doing right now and what I did before? Which one looks neater, this line or these? Yeah. Don't trace around the crayon lines, because there is crayon lines here, but that's not the edge of my leaf, is it? This is the edge of my leaf. Okay? When you're all done, first make sure you have your name on it, and then I want you to put these in the middle of your table, because if we have time today, we might start painting, but it kind of just depends on how everybody does, okay?